why this place exists the way it is, and what we do with it, what our vision was when we got into it, and how this whole thing developed, which is really a very unusual situation. When I was a small boy, I used to come to a villa 4 miles from here with my parents 7 or 8 times a year. And people would all meet up there, coming from all walks of life and from all over the world, and spend time together, some for more, some for less. But it was the most incredible meeting point and crossroads where mostly artistic and spiritual oriented people would meet up. It was very usual for a singer to do a gig after dinner, or a pianist to play the piano, or an actor to recite a piece of Shakespeare, or this was happening all the time. And we were living in Rome at the time. At a certain point, I moved to Milan, where since 1995 up until 2002, I became one of Italy's largest cell phone distributors. I was extremely fortunate and blessed as far as my career was concerned, and in a few years I found myself in the privileged position of being able to sit down and, with my wife, consider what we want to do with our lives. So we were here on vacation, staying in a place near here, and we were looking at a sunset, and all of a sudden she said to me, "Promise that one day you will bring me to live here." So for me, that was just, couldn't have been better, because I love this land ever since I was a child. So I said, sure. And we started coming here every weekend looking for a place that we would fall in love with to buy. So we spent a couple of months doing this, and during our search, we came across San Fedele through a friend. And this encounter was devastating. It just swept us off our feet completely. Both of us were really taken away by it. We couldn't stop thinking about San Fedele or talking about it, or it just started beating in our within like a heartbeat, and it was just stronger than us. We couldn't control this attraction that there was between us and this place. We found the way to purchase this, which belonged to the church. It had been abandoned for 30 years. It was just totally overgrown with ivy. You couldn't even see the walls outside. It was a ruin. One heavy snowstorm and the whole thing would have just collapsed. It was gone. So we set off on this project and had all the necessary business plans and everything done. And the project ended up being 2.5 times longer in time and 3 times larger in cost. Because it's almost impossible to foresee when you touch such an ancient building, everything that you will encounter during the restoration process. Some of these walls are over 1.5 yards thick, and to consolidate and create underground volumes that were necessary for the services such as kitchens, warehouses, AC and heating room, warehouses, garages. There's about 750 square meters, which is 8,000 square feet of new underground volumes that have been created beneath your breakfast room and the church and the terrace in the back, all of that was dug out by hand in solid rock because you couldn't come under these buildings with machines or the whole thing would have collapsed. So all of these volumes were dug out in phases. We would dig 1 meter and then build the walls, then dig another meter and build the walls because the original walls were stopped at a certain point. And we dug out 11 meters, 35 feet beneath the buildings, all by hand. It took 8 people 2 years just to do that. From the beginning to the end of the project, over 1,000 people have been involved with it. And we were helped by the local Ministry of Fine Arts. This entire site is notified as a historic building of public interest. And during the work, they came 27 times to check that everything was being done according to their prescriptions. There was a book of prescriptions that we had to attend to in order to restore this place. This project has been entirely done using materials and techniques that were used when it was originally built. All the doors are hand planed like they used to be. All the plaster is made with limestone and crushed terracotta, which is how the Romans used to make their plaster. All the colors inside and out of San Fedele are derived from natural earth. There isn't a single chemical component or modern material used. Everything is entirely original to the period that this building was made. Now, to restore in this way is much, much slower and much, much more expensive, because if you get a huge gun and spray plaster on a wall, pre-mixed chemical plaster, that will allow you to do, for example, a whole facade in 1 day. But that plaster, after 40 or 50 years, it will start crumbling and falling down. This plaster, which is mixed by hand here, put on by hand, and then smoothed with wooden rods, and then with a sponge to make it nice and flat. This material has in its chemical characteristics that with time, the more it absorbs rain and humidity and then dries in the sun, the more this happens, the harder it gets. In 1,000 years, it'll still be up there. Okay, and to give you an idea, the cost rate between a commercial modern plaster and this is 8 to 1. Okay, that's the difference in expense that it costs to make the same facade in one way or in the other. All the rooms have been maintained as they are. There are no 2 rooms alike in San Fedele. The only thing that has been added in the rooms is the bathrooms, but the original shape of the rooms and the walls that are all crooked, everything has been maintained. We didn't just make the wall straight. If the wall was crooked, then that's how it had to be. So we did our very best in respecting this place in every minutest detail. When we were in the process of doing this, we were confronted all along with hundreds of unforeseen situations and difficulties. I will just give you a couple of examples. In the breakfast room there is a fresco, and you will notice that to the left of the fresco, on the other side of the arch, we left a square where you can see different colors. That fresco was covered with 5 layers of paint through the centuries. It was totally invisible. And before they allowed us to start the restoration here, for 4 months, the Ministry of Fine Arts made us do about every yard, on every wall, inside and out of the entire property. They made us do tests they sent experts to scrape the walls and see all the layers, what there was behind these walls. And it's due to this that we found the fresco. Now, that fresco was falling off the wall. There were huge air sacs behind it. So the first thing they had to do before they could start working on it or cleaning it, they had to consolidate it back on the wall and fill in the air sacs with special resins to make it, again, all one with the wall. This is done by injecting special materials that then get very hard and fix it back on the wall. Now, each injection covers a square centimeter. So just to give you an idea, they did 172,000 injections on that first one. Then once they reconsolidated it, they started cleaning it with cotton wool and special solvents to peel off the layers, like as if there was a series of layers of skin that they had to peel off to bring back the fresco back to life. Obviously, this was an extremely delicate procedure, because if they were not careful enough, they would remove even the fresco. Now, this is just one of hundreds of things that happen. It has all been done with no commercial consideration. This has been a work of love for us. It has taught us a lot. It has really brought us together. A similar project, it will either unite you or it will separate you, because it has been devastating. It has involved every atom of our being, our energy, our finances, our love, our time. We have really given it a big chunk of our lives. And why have we done this? What is our idea? What is our vision for this place? This has nothing to do with a hotel. We do not have tourists come and stay here. This is our home that we love and respect in every corner. And our vision from the very beginning is to create a special place with a special energy. For 1,000 years, people have prayed to God here. It has always been a place for the soul, a place for peace and tranquility. Groups that have a noble cause that brings them here, whether it's personal or corporate or spiritual. We want people to come here and bring out of themselves their very best, to share, to enrich each other, to find within themselves new strength and energy, and to go away being enriched and fulfilled by their stay here. Maybe have long-term new friendships, and return whenever possible with bringing their own ingredients and going away with new experiences and exchanges that will make them into better people. In this process, seeing this happen and being a part of it, I will also grow. And this is my dream. This is why we have done this place. We want to spend the rest of our life building it into a center of excellence where good people will come and share and make good things come out of this place, so that it can become slowly like a flower that will emanate as a scent this kind of energy and vision. So that's what San Fedele is all about. Intimate and relaxed and informal feel, together with a world-class comfort, because there's everything here from Wi-Fi to AC to whatever you want, but all of this doesn't in any way ruin the atmosphere of the place. We have done everything in such a way that there is comfort, but at the same time, if you look around, you will not find details that disturb or that scream out or in some way are not in harmony between themselves. That's really what we have always had in mind, and what has given us the strength to endure all the difficulties that we have come across in achieving it. And there's another thing that I feel is important to say, that while I was doing all of this, for a while, I was proud of what I was doing. I was foolish enough to think I was doing it. And it's easy for a young, successful man to develop such a huge project and take pride in it and feel, you know, I'm cool because I'm doing such a beautiful thing. And that's when most of the problems started happening. This has been an ego-crushing experience, because if you think carefully, a place which exists since 1,000 years and will probably go on being here for as much again, how can you be foolish enough to think that you own it? It's very mistaken, a great illusion to think in that way. So at a certain point, I reached the understanding, but the hard way, not because I just woke up one morning and I realized. I got to the point where it was not in my capacity to reach the end of this project and be able to do what we're doing now. So I just fell down on my knees and said, okay, I've learned the lesson. I have to consider myself as a humble caretaker of this place. I have the privilege to have brought it back to life in respect of this place. And I have the privilege of living here for a while and looking after it and trying to give it a new life that is worthy of its past. As soon as I started developing this attitude and letting a higher cause lead the project rather than get involved with my own ego and my own desires, then many of the problems that I was being confronted with started melting like snow in the sun, and everything started flowing again. So all of this has been a great growing experience for me, and so far I have always found that by the end of the week, the people here have some magic happening inside of them. That sometimes when people go away from here, they come to me and they embrace me and they have tears in their eyes saying that they will leave a piece of their heart here. And that is the most beautiful and gratifying side to it. It's what I have always wanted. So for me, it's an honor to have you here, because you are like the cherry on the cake. This is why I have done it, to have people like you here.